for example, you have data on predicting hate crimes. Now, as you know, hate crimes are a tiny percentage of crimes in the United States, right? So we've had a massive increase in the murder rate in the last year or two, thousands of lives, and it seems like we have such a disproportionate focus in like the media and in academia on hate crimes, on things motivated by prejudice, which is like, okay, yeah, we want to stop them, but do we like are we maybe paying too much attention to this stuff for, ideological or political reasons? And
Some
then when we
people,
take the data and focus on it, aren't we maybe directing our energies in the wrong place?
some academics, a couple professors said that when I wrote my first Obama paper, that they don't find these topics that interesting. And my response was, I played the Holocaust card. I said my grandparents are in the Holocaust.
Yeah.
So I think when you go through human history, the costs of hate have been enormous, that even if we're at a low level now, historically, I do think, in human history, major problems have come from hate, that it probably does warrant more attention than a random crime. So I would play. I'll play the Holocaust.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but then it goes back to what you're bringing more attention, right? You're telling people sort of, what if you're, people are seeing that, okay, that itself focusing on it. And so, it's a country of 300 something million people. You're going to be able to find hate crimes and, evil things that happened. You could be by putting a disproportionate focus on that stuff, contributing to more of it. You could have, hatred going the other way, and then you could have a reaction, a counter reaction, raising the salience of racial tensions, right? Itself, could potentially be dangerous.
That's tough. That's the bet against the best. The study that I did with Soltas was very interesting. It was studying the minute to minute when Obama was speaking about anti-Muslim attitudes. This was after San Bernardino attack, and everything Obama said, he just started lecturing people. He's like, we have to appeal to freedom, not give in to fear. We have to love our neighbors, no matter their religious background. Like, just classic Obama. And I'm a bit of an Obama fanboy, which maybe people won't like, but I'm like, go Barack. And like all the other Barack fanboys like myself, the Boston Globe and Newsweek, there's like, this great stuff. He nailed it. But then we actually look at the searches there are these really nasty searches which predict hate crimes. I hate Muslims. Muslims must die. Kill Muslims. They were all shooting up during the speech. But then at the end of the speech, he goes, we have to remember Muslim Americans are our friends and neighbors. They're our sports heroes, and they're the men and women who will die for our country. And then you see that searches for Muslim athletes shoot up and searches for Muslim soldiers shoot up. And people are like, oh, who are these people? You see on social networks, young men, people most at risk have anti-Muslim attitudes. They're going, Shaq was Muslim, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was Muslim, Hakeem Olajuwon was Muslim. They didn't know that some of their sports heroes.
Shaq is Muslim?
Wait, did I mess that up?
Did you say Shaq? Yeah,
was he not?
Could be, but I don't. Let's see. Shaq, Muslim. Let's see who has a faster internet connection. Shaquille O'Neal. When asked in a 2010 interview who he thought was the best center of all time, he said, another Muslim brother, Hakeem Olajuwon. He then confirmed his plans to visit Turkey and one day undertake the Muslim pilgrimage. Hey, I did not know that.
So basically, lecturing people to love Muslims is way less effective to a young man than saying Shaq is Muslim. It was my conclusion to that, which I think is, after you say it, pretty obvious. And then Obama gave another speech, which in a Baltimore mosque, and he just totally doubled down on this. Everything was who's Muslim that you didn't realize was Muslim, or Muslims' place in American history. And
so did they know this? Did they know about your data?
I think I haven't talked to anybody who confirmed it, but it was so striking that I couldn't imagine it wasn't influenced, because you literally see this next speech 3 weeks later. It was just completely like just 8 paragraphs on everybody who's Muslim and all the Muslims' role in American history. All these things you wouldn't have known, that Americans built the skyscraper in Chicago. Thomas Jefferson had a Quran in his office or something. Just like, all of these, you'd have the exact same response. Is that true? I didn't know that. He just like really went big on that. You did see that a lot of the negative search on Muslims dropped. And there was a study recently, as big a sports fan as I am, I'm not a huge soccer guy. So Liverpool got a new player. I forget who's Muslim. And that there was a study that there's been a big drop. Mohamed Salah, there's been a big drop in anti-Muslim attitudes among Liverpool fans measured in a lot of ways. One of the ways they looked on Twitter of people who follow uh, Liverpool, so they're fans of them, and then after Salah joined the team, just way fewer anti-Muslim posts among those people. Uh, it's
Yeah,
all very
it's believable. Yeah, it's very believable. I mean, this is intuitively correct. People don't like being lectured at. I mean, you could see that. You could see the success of Trump. I think if one thing will last you like 6 years, so people really don't like being lectured at about from media and establishment people. Um, yeah, that's fascinating. I mean, it sort of goes back to what we were just talking about before this. It's like the sort of the lecture. I think focusing on the hate crimes and sort of the prejudice people face does feel like lecturing to some people. So it does seem like maybe that does potentially have a unintended consequence while just saying, hey, look, Muslims, athletes, entertainers, your friends, your
I'm
neighbors. Yeah.
I'm sure that okay, this is one study. I think when and it was done with Evan Solis. I think when I finished it, I'm so arrogant. I'm like, I've solved hate in the United States. I've done what Martin Luther King Jr. and all these others failed to do. And obviously that's not, that would also be taking this study too far. There's a lot more work to be done, but I think it's unambiguous that a lot of times people do things that uh, allows themselves to pat themselves on the back and congratulate each other. So if I hadn't done this study with Soltas, if we hadn't done this study, then everybody just would have said amazing speech, home run, grand slam, he knocked it out of the park. But it's like, but I think the data shows that it wasn't very far from a grand slam. That must happen all the time in hate.